Dear Daddy, I'm graduated from college, about to get married and have a baby. I know I'll pass you down as a hero. I wish I could tell you I love you for one time and see you in heaven. Don't forget 9/11. I know people don't think it's a big deal, but it is for those who lost their lives. God bless America. Okay. Yeah! How are you? I think we can all recall our first encounter with social media. Maybe a friend introduced us to a funny meme on Instagram or TikTok that led us to create an account of our own. Or maybe you're old and one of the first interactions you had with the internet was through Facebook or MySpace. Maybe you're real ancient and you were browsing message boards before any of those corporate centralized social media spaces were even born. To be genuine, I think we sometimes forget how juvenile the internet really is. Dial-up internet is only about 35 years old, which is bizarre to think about. Like, how old are our phones, man? Anyway, to think about the fact that we went from being tethered to a wall and waiting for our fat desktops to connect to the World Wide Web to instead being able to pull up a domain in an instant is incredible and scary. We have access to encyclopedias of knowledge at a moment's notice, and anyone has the ability to do this, by the way. Right now, we're teaching kids how to leverage AI to help them with their homework because it has the ability to revolutionize education, according to Saul Khan. If that name sounds familiar, it's the founder of Khan Academy. I won't preach to you about this brooding figure that looms over our kids' futures. There's plenty of coverage on this topic already. What I do want to talk about is Miiverse. Now, I figure since Tomodachi Life has already fought a valiant fight over your attention and love, I need not introduce you to the topic of Miis. They're cute though, aren't they? Little devils that you can morph like putty into your favorite character or creature or crush. I think they're great. Unlike a lot of popular character creators, you could actually make something that highlights a pronounced feature of the thing you're replicating and have it look good or appealing. The example I tend to come back to is, well, like a caricature you might get drawn of yourself at a circus or a Ren fair. Granted, they might not always look good. They might be funny or offensive in the worst case, but it draws attention to maybe a feature of yours that someone is drawn to at first glance of you. Maybe it's your pretty eyes or your chiseled nose. Maybe it's that sullen, tired look that always seems to crawl out from the depths of your soul. That might be me, but that could also be you too, I don't know. Regardless, Miis were kind of made to reflect the core tenets of Nintendo's game-making philosophy. Simplicity shaped into something memorable and significant. You see this especially in Miis on the Wii. People used what little tools they had to create these Miis that had shockingly close resemblances to their references. Some of these Miis stick out in our memory to this day. Now, I think some argue that Tomodachi Life has muddled this idea by pointing out the new makeup feature, allowing you to simply draw features on instead of engineering the character creator to create an illusion. I don't agree with that. People seem to be making more interesting Miis than ever before. I saw a Quite video where someone had, I guess, replicated an RPG encounter on a Mii's face. I guess you'll have to see it for yourself, but it's pretty cool. Nintendo kinda had a moment where they had phased out Miis for these strange little Mii-esque characters instead. This was highlighted in the sports game that they put out a couple years ago, but they were never truly able to abandon the concept. Miis were always available on the Switch, since at the start you were able to create one for your profile. They even remade Miitopia a while ago with a similar, albeit less detailed version of the current makeup feature they have in place now. It's important to recognize that Miis have always been an integral part of Nintendo's identity since the era of the Wii, and once they realized how beloved the Miis were during that console's lifespan, they decided, during what I have to assume was a very stimulating internal meeting, to create a platform for the users of their next console to interact with one another directly using their Mii characters. Kind of a genius idea given the times. The Wii U was released in 2012, social media was already starting to become gargantuan among the general public. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter were finally starting to become the norm. Nintendo would be remiss if they didn't capitalize on the media boom, and how couldn't they? They already had a sturdy fan base of ravenous, socially forward video game lovers, and it's only natural that they would want a place to spew their Super Mario dogma among fellow Super Mario-ists such as themselves. And so Miiverse released alongside the Wii U, and it was as brilliantly successful as the console itself. That is to say, it was not that successful at all. The Wii U didn't reach even close to the wintry peak that was the Nintendo Wii. To Nintendo's surprise, simply rebranding the Wii U as a second Wii did not secure them the success that they had anticipated. People had speculated that this was because the general population assumed the Wii U was an accessory for the Wii instead of a brand new console itself. Simply a failure on Nintendo's end to market the console in such a way that it would appeal to their consumers. I need to mention that Nintendo's consumers are, contrary to what many might believe, mostly children, especially at the point in time that Miiverse was released. Keep this in mind as we go forward. Yes, there was, and still is, as we see demonstrated by the roaring crowd of Satan's minions that hobble together at toy stores and vending machines, clawing and scratching at people for Pokemon cards like Golem if you were rotting in a New York sewer system, an array of adults that enjoyed Nintendo products, and I certainly still do to a degree. However, as bolstered by their advertising at the time, these products were made for a child audience. The design of the product itself sharply contrasted the sleek, handsome design of their competition by looking round and bulky, like a child's toy. 2, they were selling figures of their characters, which were very toy-like. Again, the advertising did not help their case. Now, these are echoes of criticism made by many, both during and after the Wii U's fairly short lifespan. Do I agree with them? Well, I was a kid, so it appealed to me, and when I joined Miiverse, I suppose I kind of expected the app's population to be the same. Well, I don't know if that's entirely true. At that point, I was watching like Game Grumps and Jacksepticeye, so I'm not sure. Regardless, my expectation was very far from reality. So Miiverse was this very whimsical place, and I'd like to introduce you to it. You can't just create and mingle with these Miis without knowing their dark, grimy past. I'm doing you a favor. Take and eat. This is my body broken for you in remembrance of me. That's a quote from Jesus, everybody. Today at school, we were playing Extreme Dares, and one of my friends dared me to go into the girls' toilet and take a pee. Lol, obviously I didn't do it. Smiley face. I do love that he has to conclude with obviously I didn't do it. Like, I mean, okay, man. Like, whatever. Thank you for clarifying. And these 6 other people didn't need to know that this is what happened at your school today, man. You could have kept this to yourself, I feel. Like, we didn't need to know this, and I'm sure like these people's lives are not enhanced by knowing that you played Truth or Dare at your school, but you didn't end up doing it in the first place. Like, all right, dude. And you know what? The post continues, and I can't help but be proud of Benti for reaching out, despite the fact that she doesn't know a lot of English. You know, it takes a lot of bravery to do that, but it seems like Cha's German is a little lacking because apparently he only knows 2 words. Like, okay. We've got Anime Guy posting a scary as hell picture. That scared me. And then Zach's like, stop tasing me, get rid of that post. And he's like, get rid of it. And it's like, okay. This is just really depraved because you know Anime Guy had to have kept the post up after Zach asserted that he get rid of it. That poor guy. I just feel so bad for Zach, man. I think he might have cried after this one. But this is kind of the thing I mean, though. Like, this was definitely a website for kids. It just housed the occasional weird adult. Like we're going to see in this next post with Rob, who says, oh, why hello? And then the comments, we've got this guy. He's like, lol, get flagged by Nintendo. And Rob's like, which would be ridiculous, not harming anyone, and this game is M-rated anyways. And this guy's like, agreed, Rob. And then we've got Hetty saying, nice butt, and Hello Kitty saying, ew, look at that girl's butt. And I can't show you the image that he posted because it is a woman in a thong. But like, what are we doing? Why was this even allowed on the website? Now, as I've mentioned, this is a place that I used to frequent when I was younger, and some of these quotes I'm getting off the internet and Twitter, but I suppose I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there is an archive of every Miiverse post that has ever been made. I mean, so typically one is able to delete their old social media posts to be rid of them forever, and once they're gone, you don't have to acknowledge that you had a cringe past. Well, I unfortunately have to live with these for the rest of my life. Now, you need to understand that these posts were made by a child who was maybe about 13, 14 years old, undiagnosed ADHD. And so honestly, if you make fun of me, maybe you need to do a little looking inward, some self-reflection. Maybe think about going to therapy and question why you're laughing at a poor, defenseless little chud kid. He was going through it, you know, middle school. Middle school was tough. Are you ready to talk about that? The trials of middle school? Albert Camus, trials of middle school? All right. I really did make my mark here. I should sing a song, but I'm not going to. Plays 1 a.m. music from ACNL. That's Animal Crossing New Leaf for the Nintendo 3DS. 2014 has been great with you. Even though I wasn't here to share most of it with you, I truly love you guys. And you made most of my 2012/2015 the greatest days of my life. I may have left you, but I know now what path I want to take. My resolution is to be more social, happy, and loving. And this is really sweet, but all these people hated me. All 82 of those comments were filled with pure vitriol. Yeah, I don't even know what to say here. This, I don't know why I was sharing this with these people. They didn't care, and they really didn't care. They really didn't care. We've got this other post here that says, hack all 10 accounts with a Z. I feel like leak speak is kind of outdated at this point in time in the internet, but all my friends were using it, so... And I was most certainly also reading Homestuck at this point as well, so maybe it had an effect on me. I have a framed pic of cats in my room. My dream has come true. Here we go, Tomodachi Life. I think this one's relevant, you know? I put my me in a room with a cat photo in it, and that was the greatest thing that I could have ever done in that point in time, I suppose. This one is humiliating. So this doesn't even look close to who I am in real life. I need you to know that at this point in time, I was a black kid with short black hair. And I do feel the need to mention that I was telling everyone online that I was British as well. So I guess I had a complex. I really don't know what to say. And, you know, I still lie like this. You know, the other week I told someone that I smoke weed. I don't smoke weed. Why did I tell them that? Why did I do that? And this one, what's taking me out is the 410 comments. 410. Was there really that much to talk about this middle schooler? Like, I don't know, man. All right, I don't think I can read any more of these, but you know, if you found that entertaining, then maybe I'll do more. So we have to acknowledge that it was a good thing that they canned this website. Nintendo actually had a social media-esque site before this, and it was called Flipnote Hatena that I absolutely loved. Even when I was little, I loved it. A lot of old YouTube poops and old early 2000s music that I grasped onto really came from letting myself occupy way too much of my time on Flipnote Hatena. Let me tell you, there were some strange kids on the playground, and I was one of them. Needless to say, that one had an expiration date as well, and it did have to disappear without a trace. But are we any better for it, really? Would you rather have your kid singing Dance Monkey, or this is the best burrito I've ever eaten? You tell me in the comments. I do think that Miiverse is better gone, though. They did moderate the place, but I do think the fewer internet spaces that combine both kids and adults, the better. I've always been an advocate for more privatized online spaces like Space Hey, NeoCities, and even Pony.town. I think they're not only good for kids, but for like society as a whole. And two, understand that we all have our part to play in making the internet a better space for kids, you know? TikTok isn't going away soon, neither are shorts or reels or AI. It's important that we all try to safeguard kids from these big corpos that care less about the content they're feeding them and more about the attention they're stealing from them. And most importantly, please, if they ever make a Miiverse 2, do not try to find me, because I will be drawing humiliating imagery of Larry the Koopa with huge buff arms. All right, goodbye.